Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll explore what the Death Angels are. One of the most interesting, mysterious, and terrifying monsters we've seen in the world of cinema, and in the science fiction and horror genres, are the creatures known as the Death Angels. These alien beings appear in the A Quiet Place film franchise. The Death Angels are extremely frightening creatures because they attack any source of sound with impressive violence and aggression. Additionally, they are nearly impossible to defeat due to their incredible natural armor, making them unstoppable killing machines. It's because of the mystery surrounding these beings, their unique characteristics, and their astonishing abilities that many consider the Death Angels one of the best monsters and aliens we've seen in recent cinema. That's why, in this video, I'll explain in detail the known origins of the Death Angels from A Quiet Place. Then, I'll discuss their physical appearance, what we know about their personality and behavior, as well as their incredible abilities and known weaknesses, as shown in the first A Quiet Place film and its sequel. The Death Angels are creatures that wiped out a large portion of humanity and human civilization because none of the world's armies were able to effectively eliminate or repel them. The movies depict an atmosphere of solitude and isolation, as we see everything from the perspective of the protagonists, the Abbott family. However, it's revealed that there are other families and individuals who live in complete silence to avoid drawing the attention of these monsters. People seem to opt for living in small communities for safety, as it's much easier to stay quiet with fewer people around. In these movies, particularly the first one, it's revealed that the monsters are blind and rely on their hypersensitive hearing to locate their prey. That's why we can conclude they see through a complex echolocation system, which is so acute and precise that even the slightest sound or noise can be detected. Although the first movie never explicitly mentions the origin of these creatures, it does provide some important clues that reveal the Death Angels are actually aliens. This is clearly hinted at in the newspaper clippings the Abbott family's father, Lee, keeps in his small basement office. One of the clippings mentions the possible origin of these monsters, referencing a massive, mysterious meteorite that landed in New Mexico. Another clipping suggests these beings were perceived as carrying out an invasion of Earth. Interestingly, this particular clipping only appears in the trailers and promotional material for the first movie. Other newspaper clippings reveal that many people view these creatures as Death Angels who descended from the sky to punish humanity and destroy everything. While we know these beings are not truly supernatural in nature, in the movie universe, they are known by this ominous name because of the terrifying and seemingly sudden way they arrived on the planet. Initially, fans speculated that this invasion of Earth happened gradually. Early in the first movie, there are missing person posters visible, which some interpreted as evidence of a slow, localized invasion. Many fans theorized that the creatures, after arriving via the meteorite, began reproducing quickly and expanding to other areas, becoming a true threat. Unfortunately, this theory is partially incorrect, and I plan to explain why. The film's director, John Krasinski, commented after the release of the first movie that the origins of these monsters are indeed extraterrestrial. He stated, "The Death Angels are truly aliens. When I developed the idea for this film, I wanted it to stand out because most alien invasion movies are about advanced extraterrestrials trying to dominate the planet or being a civilization with a specific plan for what they want to do with our world. To me, the idea of a predator or a parasitic species being introduced into a different ecosystem is very interesting, as it can be both highly destructive and terrifying. That's why I wanted to incorporate this concept into my film." The director, in some interviews, revealed that the alien creatures are perfect evolutionary machines that developed and thrived on a planet without humans or any sources of light. This is why these creatures never had eyes and could only live and hunt using sound. These beings also evolved a way to protect themselves from any threats, essentially becoming the apex predators of their planet. In the director's mind, these aliens arrived on Earth after their home planet was destroyed. What we see in the movies is that the Death Angels have a basic level of intelligence and are primarily driven by their instincts. From this, we can infer that their planet either exploded or suffered a massive cataclysmic event, perhaps a giant asteroid impacting and completely destroying it. As a result, due to their powerful natural armor, some of these creatures survived and remained in a state of hibernation within the various asteroids and meteorites that were remnants of their planet, traveling for hundreds or even thousands of years through the void of space until they unexpectedly arrived on Earth. This confirms the theory that this invasion was a rapid event that occurred simultaneously in different parts of the world, leaving most people defenseless and preventing armies from understanding what was happening or discovering these beings' true weaknesses. John Krasinski commented on the invasion, saying, "The arrival of these creatures was like releasing a pack of hungry wolves into a daycare. That's why humans didn't stand a chance." This is why the US military was unable to defend people or study the creatures enough to determine their exact biological characteristics and weaknesses. This explains what happened to all the world's armies, which were quickly destroyed by the Death Angels. In Lee's newspaper clippings, it's also mentioned that these creatures possess an exoskeleton that functions as a powerful armor, impervious to bombs or high-caliber bullets. Essentially, their skin is impenetrable and indestructible. According to what little the US military discovered, this sudden invasion is better illustrated at the beginning of A Quiet Place Part 2. In the opening sequence, on what appears to be an ordinary day, these creatures arrive unexpectedly and unleash chaos, destruction, and death in the small town or city where the Abbott family lives. No one knows what's happening, and the authorities are unable to protect the people. From the information revealed in the sequel, we learn that in 2020, a large meteorite landed in New Mexico. However, many other asteroids containing dormant creatures crashed around the world simultaneously. The strong impact awakened these beings, who, upon encountering the overwhelming noise and sounds of our planet, from bustling cities and large populations, began indiscriminately attacking everything that disturbed them. Despite the world's armies fighting back against the monsters, they were unable to do anything. Firearms, bombs, nuclear weapons, and even experimental and biological weapons had no effect on the Death Angels, and they couldn't kill even one. It's likely that the missing person posters were put up by family members of those who vanished on the day the creatures arrived, probably because these individuals were never seen again after the ferocious first attack by the Death Angels. In just over 3 months, the creatures had decimated a significant portion of humanity and the planet's population. They then began reproducing rapidly, becoming the dominant species. About a year and a half after their arrival, human civilization, along with the world's governments and armies, had disappeared. The only remnants of humanity were small groups or communities of survivors, striving to stay silent and avoid ever drawing the attention of these monsters. This is essentially where the first A Quiet Place movie begins. We follow the Abbott family as they try to adapt and survive in this new world. Lee knows there are at least 3 of these creatures in the area where they live, although he suspects there may be more lurking. In this analysis, we delve deeply into the known origins of the Death Angels. I will discuss their physical appearance, what we know about their personality and behavior, as well as their incredible abilities and known weaknesses. The Death Angels are vaguely humanoid creatures, with 2 long arms and 2 legs that allow them to move extremely quickly. Although they can stand upright, they usually move in a quadrupedal stance, which enables them to run more efficiently and be much more agile. Their bodies are covered with an extremely tough natural armor, dark gray in color, often appearing black. However, there are also variants of these creatures that have a dark brown hue. Their long limbs are equipped with sharp spikes or pincers, similar to those of praying mantises, which they use to attack, slash, and impale their prey and enemies. Additionally, these creatures have sharp claws at the ends of their hands and very sharp fangs in their mouths. The most memorable and terrifying physical feature of these beings is their head, which has a strange, alien appearance. It is made up of several fleshy plates that react to sound and occasionally expose the pink and fragile body beneath their exoskeleton. They're quite large, with a height ranging from 2 to 3.5 meters, depending on their posture, making them much taller than the average human. They move using the knuckles of their pincers or claws, somewhat like gorillas, though many fans point out that their body structure is more similar to that of bats due to their long, thin limbs. Beneath their armor or plates, they have enormous ears that amplify even the faintest sound, turning it into a very loud noise they can perceive. While we don't know much about their personality, what we see in the films suggests they are not inherently evil. Instead, they act on instinct, destroying anything that makes noise because it irritates and deeply hurts them. They are not supernatural monsters with a specific plan, despite what their name might imply. This is why, once they eliminate the source of a sound, they rarely consume it and simply leave the area. It has been theorized that the creature's home planet had a less dense atmosphere than Earth's, causing sound to travel more slowly. Additionally, since sound cannot propagate in outer space, this might explain their hostile behavior toward any noise. That's why we can say that, despite their terrifying name, the Death Angels are actually more like dangerous wild animals that act violently only when they feel threatened or provoked. As alien apex predators, the Death Angels possess incredible abilities that make them extremely difficult enemies to defeat and a total threat to humanity and the entire planet. First of all, these creatures are incredibly fast and can cover several kilometers in a matter of seconds. They are also highly skilled at moving efficiently in any environment and can jump and climb over obstacles with ease. Despite their slender and somewhat gaunt appearance, they possess surprising strength that allows them to break through walls or human-made structures that block their path. They also combine this physical strength with their speed and sharp claws to eliminate their enemies with a single strike as soon as they detect noise. One of their most terrifying abilities is their strong armor, which makes them practically invincible, as it is impossible to penetrate or break with common weapons. Additionally, they have an advanced echolocation system that allows them to see through sound, functioning much like gigantic bats. All these physical characteristics and abilities make the Death Angels a total threat and truly fascinating creatures. Some fans have theorized that these beings may also have the ability to produce electromagnetic pulses that partially disable human electronic devices, causing malfunctions. This idea is suggested in one of the newspaper clippings, but cannot be confirmed. Most likely, this is not one of their abilities, as in both movies, we never see the presence of these creatures disrupt electricity. It's more likely that the power outages and electrical disturbances were caused by the asteroids and meteorites impacting the planet. Despite their incredible abilities, these creatures have some significant weaknesses. First and foremost, they are blind, which means they lack the sense of sight. This gives their enemies the opportunity to hide in certain places where they are almost undetectable, such as behind a waterfall. In these situations, the Death Angels cannot effectively detect the presence of their prey. Another significant weakness they have is their hypersensitive hearing. At the climax of the first movie, the Abbott family discovers that with certain specific frequencies, these monsters can open the plates on their faces, exposing their weak spot, which humans can use to seriously injure or even kill them outright. To explain this weakness in more detail, I'd like to describe the scene. What essentially happens is that the girl, Reagan's, hearing device amplifies sound so that she can hear even the faintest noises. On the other hand, the Death Angels emit a sound frequency from their ears, which bounces off the hearing device and gets amplified. This is why the sound caused by this feedback bothers Reagan. The device then sends the amplified frequency back to the aliens, and when they receive it, they amplify it even further. This sound causes them extreme discomfort and severely weakens them. It's been theorized that this could potentially kill these creatures if the frequencies are maximized and amplified even more. Once their heads are exposed, the Death Angels can be killed with direct gunfire or very strong blows. Another important weakness they have is water. Due to the weight of their natural armor, they cannot swim in deep water and sink easily. This is shown in the second movie, where one of these creatures chases Reagan and Emmett, but doesn't resurface after falling into the water because it sinks quickly. However, in the first movie, we see one of these creatures enter shallow water in the Abbott's basement and attempt to attack the protagonists. This suggests that water doesn't affect them when it's too shallow, allowing them to move and swim efficiently. It's believed that these monsters don't account for water when chasing their prey, which causes them to sink. It's important to note that these beings likely don't need oxygen to survive. Therefore, they may not die underwater, but rather struggle to move and escape these areas. If they fail to get out after several attempts, they might starve to death or remain hibernating beneath the water. The director of these films, John Krasinski, worked with conceptual artists and the special effects company Industrial Light and Magic to design these monsters and give them a physical appearance consistent with their behavior. Additionally, he wanted the storyline of the films in this universe to have strict rules due to the deadly and terrifying nature of these creatures, as humanity seeks to avoid them at all costs. According to Krasinski, the design of the Death Angels is heavily inspired by bog people, the mummified remains of individuals who died in swamps. Together with special effects supervisor Scott Farrar, he created the terrifying and brilliant design of these monsters. The director mentioned that the process of creating these creatures was challenging but very entertaining, starting during the pre-production of the film. The original design of the Death Angels was more humanoid and robust, but it gradually evolved. Krasinski stated that documentaries about prehistoric marine animals were his main inspiration for the appearance of these monsters. He also incorporated physical elements from modern snails and the anatomical structure of ears to design the distinctive heads of these creatures. As a result, the concept of facial plates for the Death Angels was developed, and they were given a slimmer, more streamlined body, making them more agile and incredibly dangerous. And that's everything we know about the Death Angels or the monsters from A Quiet Place. Personally, I really like these creatures because they look both cool and terrifying, in my opinion. They seem like a combination of the Demogorgon from Stranger Things and the aliens from 10 Cloverfield Lane, with a touch of Venom's teeth. Personally, I love these movies because they have a terrifying atmosphere and brilliant suspense. They also convey a certain sense of loneliness, as if the protagonists are the only survivors, since they can't always rely on others for help. I think the way the story of these monsters has been revealed through clues and newspaper clippings, showing us their true origins, is fantastic. Due to how deadly they are, their sinister and cool design, and the interesting universe they inhabit, I believe the Death Angels or monsters from A Quiet Place are among the best we've seen in recent cinema. I think these creatures still have a lot of potential to explore. But tell me, what do you think? Were you already familiar with the Death Angels or the monsters from A Quiet Place? Did you know their story and true origins? And finally, if you've seen the sequel, what did you think? Comment your answers to these questions below and share your general opinion about the Death Angels from A Quiet Place. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of my new videos.